If you're a new agency owner, chances are you're stressed out about finding clients. But here's the good news. Landing your first project might be easier than you think. And no, it doesn't involve sending out hundreds of cold impersonal emails, but it will take some work. Clients won't just fall into your laps, although sometimes they just might. In this video, I'm going to share 2 simple methods that could be the difference between staying independent or going back to a full-time job. And here's the kicker. If you follow through, something unexpected and serendipitous might happen just like it did for me. Back in August of 2024, I quit my $100,000 job to launch my own creative agency. With no steady paycheck, the pressure to find customers was building up. Around this time, I stumbled across 2 books, $100 Million Offers and $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi. In a $100 Million offer, Hormozi talks about creating an offer so compelling that prospects would feel foolish saying no to. It pushed me to rethink what I was offering, not just in terms of deliverables, but the value and clarity of the outcome that I was offering. This is super important because without this step, it'll be harder for people to see your true value in a market that's already full of options. In the $100 Million Leads, he introduces the core 4 methods to getting clients, which consist of warm outreach, cold outreach, posting free content, and running paid ads. That framework helped me focus on 2 methods that work best for me, which were warm outreach and posting content. And the best part is that when you're starting out, this doesn't involve you posting a ton of content and reaching out to a bunch of people. So what is a warm outreach and how does it work? Simply put, warm outreach is when you reach out to someone who already has some context about who you are. Maybe they've seen your work, maybe you've been introduced through a mutual connection, or perhaps you've worked together in the past. It's not a cold pitch to a stranger. It's more like picking up a conversation that's already started. You're still being proactive, but the key is there's already some trust in place and that you are not pitching them anything at this point. Let me repeat that again. There's trust in place and you're not pitching them at this point. If you don't have anyone you feel comfortable reaching out to, then the easiest way to create warm outreach opportunities is by showing your work publicly, staying active in communities, and genuinely engaging with people in your space. That way, when you do reach out, it feels more natural, more likely to lead to a real conversation afterwards. So, after you've identified some people in your network that might classify as a warm outreach, don't pitch. Instead, send them a friendly message that might say, "Hey, I saw what you're building, really love the direction. I recently worked on something similar and thought you'd find it interesting." In a bit, I'll share the exact message with you that landed me my first project through a warm outreach. Now, if you want to provide more value and be more personal, you might even send them a short Loom video that shows how you might approach their branding, copywriting, video strategy, or whatever expertise you're selling. But remember, they should come across as no pressure, no ask. Just a way to start the conversation. The goal here isn't to close a deal on the spot. It's to show up with something useful that might spark some interest that would hopefully lead to a project. Now, let me give you a concrete example of how I approached this and how it ended up working out much better than I even anticipated. So here's the story. A former colleague connected me to a founder. Let's call this founder Simon. One of Simon's angel investors, let's call this angel Britt, was looking for someone to create a video for a portfolio company. After the introduction, I started working with this startup for a total of 4 months, which was completely unexpected. And to this point, I haven't even done any warm outreach. It was just a referral. So after the first month wrapped up successfully with this startup, I reached back out to Simon, and here's what I said. "Hi Simon, how are you doing? Just wanted to thank you again for connecting me with Brit. The partnership with the company is going great. I'm currently helping them make new video ads for social and other material. Since you're in the software space and I make animations and videos about software, I thought it might be a good idea to know each other. Would you be open to chatting over a call? It's totally fine if you can't. Have an amazing day, Hansel." I kept the message friendly, honest, and not pushing for a sale. I just wanted to get to know this founder better and see if there was an opportunity for Motion Flux to help them with a possible product launch video. And that message led to a call. And a month later, it led to a project with this startup. So here's the practical takeaway. Warm outreach is powerful when it's specific, personal, and low pressure. Mutual connections are more likely to respond to your messages and can open unexpected doors. So this is the best way for you to be doing warm outreach. And it gets even better. This becomes a virtuous cycle. More connections lead to more warm outreach, which means more projects landing on your lap from which you can create content, which then leads to exposure and therefore more connections. On to the second method, posting content. Now, you need to drill this into your own head. Posting content isn't about getting likes, it's about getting customers. And most people confuse the two. Even I have to remind myself of this every time I hit that publish button. So what actually works, especially in a niche, is showing how you think, not just what you made or the entire project, but how you approached it, why you made certain choices, what you learned from the process. That's what builds trust. It gives people a window into your mind, not just your portfolio. And for founders, it's gold because they're not just hiring skills, they're hiring decision-making, taste, thinking. And the best part is that you don't need to post every day. You just need to show up in a way that's thoughtful and consistent. One honest post a week is enough to stay top of mind. And here's what most people won't tell you. The content that leads to clients isn't always the one that gets the most likes. In fact, it's the one that quietly resonates with the right person at the right time, even if they don't engage. That's why you keep showing up. You're not posting to go viral. You're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for the people you actually want to work with. Let me give you an example. After successfully wrapping up the project with the warm outreach, I created 3 posts. One, showing behind the scenes. And for me, this was a simple screen recording showing details and transitions in After Effects. Nothing out of the ordinary. Another post was highlighting standout scenes from the video, shining a spotlight on smaller details that might not be so noticeable and explaining the creative reasoning behind it. And the third post featuring short looping GIFs of different parts of the video. So you need to be breaking down projects into bite-sized format. It's easier to digest and you can create more content from a single project or assets. A week after posting this chain of content, a founder messaged me saying he's seen my post pop up repeatedly on his feed and loved its style. This simple DM turned into a call, which then led to a project with this startup. What I realized at this point is that consistency builds credibility. Even if results aren't immediate. The practical takeaway, post consistently on platforms your ideal customers frequent. Share more than just finished projects. Showcase small details, behind-the-scene glimpses, and your creative process and reasoning. When you do this, something unexpected might happen, which I will share with you in a moment. But first, you need to know that choosing the right platform is important. You want to be very present in your ideal customer's feed. Show up as often as you can with quality work or valuable, informative content. Most people advise that when you're starting out, you should focus on a single platform. And although I agree with this, you need to experiment a little bit and see which platform gives you the most traction and makes it easier to connect with your ideal customer. Now, let me tell you that serendipitous thing that might happen to you once you've done a project that came from doing warm outreach and consistently posting your work. Enter referrals. You know what nobody really talks about when it comes to getting clients? It's making yourself referable. Some of your best projects might not come from pitching or even posting. They come from referrals, and they can show up when you least expect it. But here's the thing, not all referrals are the same. There are 2 kinds, and once you understand how they work, you can start creating the kind of work and relationships that quietly bring in new opportunities without constantly having to pitch. First, you have direct referrals. This happens when a client, collaborator, or a friend personally recommends you to someone. Maybe they work with you and love the experience, or maybe they've seen enough of your work to vouch for you. This kind of referral often sounds like, hey, we're looking for someone to do X and person Y told me I should talk to you. That's gold. It means someone's transferring their trust onto you, and that shortens the sales cycle by weeks or even months. And then you have indirect referrals, which are a little sneakier, but just as powerful. That's when someone stumbles across your work through someone they already trust. Maybe they saw the video you made for a peer, or they heard your name come up in a Slack group. You didn't talk to them. No one made a formal intro, but your work was doing the talking. And oftentimes, These people reach out saying something like, hey, I saw you did this for company X and I love something like that for us. That's an indirect referral. Quiet, organic, but 100% driven by the quality and visibility of your work. So you might be asking yourself, can you control this process? Absolutely. And here are 4 ways to do it. First, do great work. Obvious but non-negotiable. The quality of what you deliver is what gets people talking in the first place. Second, make yourself easy to work with. Be clear, responsive, and organized. Don't make your clients guess. The smoother the process, the more likely they are to say, that was a great experience, you should talk to them. Third, stay in touch. Keep past clients updated on what you're working on. Referrals often come from people who haven't worked with you in months, but still remember how seamless and positive the process was. And fourth, don't be afraid to ask. If a project went well and the client's happy, it's perfectly fine to say, if you know anyone else who could use something like this, I'd really appreciate a referral. Most people will gladly help you. And you can even sweeten the offer a little bit. Let them know you'll offer them a 10 or 15% off their next project if they send someone your way. It shows appreciation and makes it a win for both sides. Referrals aren't luck. They're the result of doing good work consistently and staying visible, even when you're not actively selling. Practical takeaway: prioritize delivering exceptional quality work and outstanding customer experiences. Happy customers naturally become your most powerful marketing channel, and when things start working out, you will most likely start receiving a lot of new requests, all through word of mouth and direct and indirect referrals. All right, I've shared with you the 2 methods and a sweet bonus to landing your first client. Remember, warm outreach, consistently posting content, which can all lead to that well-earned referral. If you like this content and want more breakdowns like this, subscribe and let me know down in the comments what you think. Until the next one, take care.